This is a small clip from one of my main videos. If you like it, then please check out the original video. Okay, bye, love you.
Well, now it's time to get to the big one. It's the crossword. I guess the New York Times is famous for its crossword puzzles or something. They've been at it since 1942, and somewhere out there, there's a diehard fandom of people who solve this shit every day. Now, I'm not here to tell those people that their favorite and most popular New York Times game is horrible, but I fucking absolutely despise it to no end. I hate this thing. So the way a New York Times crossword puzzle works is there are dozens upon dozens of words, often over 100 of them. Each one has a description hinting at what the word is, and based on the descriptions, you have to fill the correct words in on the grid-based puzzle. The problem is, every word has letters that overlap with letters from other words on the board, so it becomes this nightmarish task of trying to figure out what exact words need to be used to get all the letters to line up correctly. And you know, that's whatever. That's what a crossword puzzle is. No big deal, right? Well, for me, it's a huge deal. Here's the thing. I am not a quarter as smart as this game needs you to be to solve these puzzles. When I think of crossword puzzles, I think of something like this. A very simple puzzle with around 20 words, where each word has just one or maybe two intersections with other words. The word descriptions are just challenging enough to make for a thought-provoking, yet still very completable puzzle. These are great, but then we go to the New York Times crossword, where it goes from 4th grade English class activity to fucking Einstein, Neil deGrasse Tyson, fucking Albert Einstein. In these puzzles, just about every single space on the board is an intersection. Every word overlaps with multiple other words. Look how daunting this is. I have to fill all of this out? What if I use the wrong word for one of these and don't realize it? Then every single one of these words becomes wrong too? Why are there over 100 words to solve? And like, look at these hints. They cover so many different subjects spanning so many different time periods, niche topics, pop culture. The game wants you to be knowledgeable about way too many random things to be able to solve these puzzles. Most of the time, I find that I know nothing about most, if not all, the hints given for the day. I have no idea how anyone out there is able to complete these things every single day just knowing all the shit they want you to know. Oftentimes, even if you do know a word that would fit the given hint, they're actually looking for a synonym of said word or multiple words crammed into one long answer. That's always fun. And by default, if you don't use the correct word, the game won't tell you. Which means that, like I said, you could put the wrong thing in one line, then get all the surrounding answers wrong because you base those answers off of what you put in the line they intersect with. There is an option to make the game auto-check everything you put in, and this feels like an absolute must. I can't imagine playing this game without it. I've only ever solved one of these things without looking up any answers online, and don't get me wrong, that one was a pretty fun and satisfying time, but most other puzzles, I'd make very little progress in and then just give up. It's way too time consuming for my taste, taking like 20 to 30 minutes to complete a puzzle. If you're someone who's actually knowledgeable about all this stuff, I can imagine this being a fun thing to sit there and try to figure out. But man, I just can't do this, let alone every day. There are too many words to figure out, too many intersections, too much stuff I'm not knowledgeable about, and too much time required to complete a puzzle. Honestly, even if I was able to consistently know all this stuff to fill in the puzzle successfully, I don't think I would find it fun enough to commit this much time to it. It feels weird doing this because it's a fan favorite that I can see some value in, but it's not a game I ever care to revisit, and even if I do, I'm not likely to make any good progress. I just look at the day's puzzle and feel like giving up before I even start. The crossword currently sits at the bottom. I'm sorry. And now we have the mini. Shit, they're multiplying. The mini is just like the crossword, but I actually think this one's pretty fun. This game takes those horrid puzzles from the crossword and just makes them smaller. It maintains the same format of having every tile be an intersection between two words, but I think the smaller scale makes it way more appealing to work with. It inherently results in less words needing to be solved, and much shorter words at that. It's just way more digestible than the big crossword, and with this one, I can easily solve the daily puzzles with no auto check on, which is way more satisfying. And it's more enjoyable to be able to complete a puzzle quickly and not having to spend forever figuring everything out in one giant puzzle. It does still suck when there's something on the list of hints that you just don't know. It kind of just screws you out of solving the day's puzzle in most cases. At least with something like connections, these are usually just plain old words that typically don't require obscure knowledge about random subjects. But hey, these are supposed to be games for thinkers, and the mini does a great job giving us half-brains and accessible thinking experience. Definitely a top-tier entry. The New York Times Crosswords for Nintendo DS. Okay, people care about this, I guess. Awesome. The New York Times Crosswords released on the DS in 2007. It is like the definition of a retirement home video game. We all know and love that genre of games the DS was known for supplying. Simple-ass games that weren't really games, designed to be played by senior citizens who didn't know who Luigi was. I think to get the most authentic opinion possible on this game, I gotta find an old guy to play this for me so I can observe his reaction. Hey, old guy, play this. What the fuck? Okay, I guess I'll take this one over then. The New York Times Crosswords for the DS is the same overly complicated who knows this shit crossword gameplay I despise on the website, but somehow even worse. The puzzles are still formatted with all these overlapping words, and now you have to painstakingly navigate the puzzle while it's all zoomed in and impossible to perceive. It still requires you to be knowledgeable on a bunch of random shit, but since this game is from 2007, a lot of these things are going to be outdated or just irrelevant beyond belief. And should you actually know the answer to one of these hints, you can't just type the word into the boxes with the keyboard, you have to manually draw each individual letter with the stylus in this box, which by the way, sucks ass at detecting the letter you're trying to write. Also, you don't get a complete list of all the hints on the puzzle. You can only see the hint for the one word you have selected, so great. There's also no auto checker like there is on the website, which again is something I 100% need. The only help you do get is the option to fill in individual boxes of your choosing, which is something, but not much. The visuals and music are depressing, kinda nostalgic, definitely great old people material, but still, the music and visuals of this game make me want to cry. It's miserable. So pretty much, this game is just a collection of New York Times crossword puzzles. Probably should have seen that coming. The game pretends to have multiple modes, which you can access through this atrocious menu that tries to be cute by being presented as a crossword puzzle, but ends up being a nightmare to navigate as a result. The modes in question are Quick Puzzle, Puzzle Week, and Challenge Mode. They're all just crossword puzzles. And there's also local co-op and versus modes, where you and up to 3 others can play on the same board and see what everyone's doing on it. You can all work together to solve the same puzzle, or make it a friendly competition.
I'm
gonna
solving
fuck
this
you
puzzle.
up. You're gonna
I'm
lose
fill
this
in the
thing, bud.
words.
At the end of the day, this is the crosswords game I don't like from the website, made worse in a variety of ways. I hate this thing. Bottom spot.